Says it failed to publish. What you giggling at?
Greetings. It is I, the Anti-Flip Lord.
And it's me, the interdimensional space grid. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry that I was late. I was experiencing archontic interference.
Or you just leave way too late every single time.
I have Southern European DNA. It's an affliction, you know?
It's okay. And that's why we're here on the Flip Ship. I hope you guys enjoyed our avatar analysis because we have a lot prepared for you in the next coming week. It actually should be done pretty soon.
Yeah, he sounds very keen on getting it out.
So we have a new co-pilot that basically kind of navigates the new what do you say, the main lobby of the Flip Ship. This is actually just the private podcasting station for my end.
Yes, but the main ship, you will be introduced to the main ship very, very soon.
Yeah, so we have a lot in store for you guys, and I think you really like the new set. As you can see, you saw the new holographic analysis when it came to our avatars, our human avatars. And in the meantime, how has Prague been treating you, my friend?
Very good. Yeah, very, very good. I'm loving Prague. Always having a good relationship with Prague. It always yields fantastic results.
Yes, very much so. And I think we just dodged a lockdown. So the information came out of the potential lockdown.
Yeah.
It only applies to sports events and schools and weddings. And I'm not interested in all three of them.
Yeah, that's beyond us. So that was in Parliament today, was it?
Yeah, okay. So it's like there's going to be a huge announcement when it comes to the state of emergency that Prague is going to be, and then it was just like, okay, sports events are limited to this amount of people, weddings as well, and schools, I think it's like certain events like physical and music are the ones that are definitely limited.
You can't meet up and spit into the mouths of strangers as you would normally.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I used to do as a pastime out here in Prague. You know, somebody yawning a little too wide.
That's what you fucking get.
Yeah, that's what they get, dude. Keep your mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut.
Dude, I just, oh my God, here's the thing though. I have this new space helmet that I want to show you, but I'll show you in a little bit. You'll really like it, man.
I want to
What is
show
this
you
smile?
I want to show you my helmet. Are we gonna do it off air? Oh, Daddy, your helmet is huge. It's so shiny.
It's really shiny, dude. It's really shiny. It's a great size. I can take it.
It's a great size. It's not too big.
I can take it on and off.
Damn.
Detachable.
Damn, you really are the CyberHuman of the future with a detachable helmet like that.
Yeah, speaking of detachable body parts and cyberkinetic enhancements, would you one day detach your arms and then go ahead and implement a cyborg kinetic arm if it had a bunch of improvements and upgrades on purpose? Because that already exists with, I think, amputees. You can have like cyborg legs and stuff like that. But then I think there's going to be a time where the limbs work even better with the machinery, that people will like purposely take off their legs and then put like cyber legs in it.
If a nice lady walks up to me or a nice lady that I was committed to in a loving relationship only, monogamously only, ever, walked up to me and stroked my arms, would I feel it?
Yeah, so like these new cyborg arms basically send the same type of brain signals directly to
Yeah.
the feeling sensors in your head,
Yeah.
and it works exactly like an arm.
You know, the last person to ask me this question was Sam Vaknin, and I was like, I wouldn't change anything. And he was like, why the attachment to the flesh? Why? If I'm completely, he said, if I was completely destroyed in some accident and they put me into a robot's body, what is not me? What is not me? I'm not the body, but I'm attached to the flesh. I'm attached to my arms and legs. These are the ones my mama gave me. I'd like to keep them as long as I can.
Because I'm more like, just cut my head off.
Take it.
Cut my whole fucking head off and put it
Take
on a
it.
transformer, dude. I'll have 6 arms, 7 flip sticks, and 1 leg, dude. You know?
Maybe I'll get there.
No. I mean, I don't think I would actually do that intentionally ever. But I mean, if the situation came to it, because that's going to be a decision one of these days where we're going to have to decide. Because like, if you think about it, you have social media that's almost purposely pushing people towards making cosmetic enhancements, like the duck lips and the boobies and the booties and whatever else and stuff like that. And then imagine if there is like a technological enhancement that can also be cosmetic as well. I think it's going to be really soon.
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose that there will be upgrades and enhancements. William Gibson, I don't know whether he created the cyberpunk genre or just popularized it, but a lot of his novels were set in like a post-apocalyptic dystopia in the future where tech was very, very high and human love was very, very low. And yeah, a lot of his characters, they had these upgrades and attachments, and they were kind of basically living cyborgs at that point.
So did that end up well?
No, it's always disaster and all. You know, he'd present these scenarios where there's pros and cons. People with like Neuralink attachments in their brains who could process information much faster. It's I do wonder if we hit a point as human beings of diminished returns with what technology can do for us when we're not thinking purely in terms of function. If you're not thinking purely in terms of utilitarian function, like what can you do, what can you contribute, but just how do you be, I think tech hits an upper limit.
Okay. Can you retranslate that in English, please?
So if you're everything but like ideologically is pushed nowadays towards what does it do? How do I profit? What do I gain? So it's like capitalism in the purest sense of everybody's looking to gain capital, which is like coconuts, material wealth. The monkey wants to gain the things. If you stop thinking in terms of gaining things and just think about being as a human being and feeling good and feeling okay and feeling connected, the tech becomes less and less useful. So in one paradigm,
I see.
you lean this way to utilitarianism. Tech is infinitely useful because it just accelerates everything and makes it more efficient. If you lean into the other paradigm and you go, how do I just be and have like, I don't know, some vague notion of a spiritual or mystical connection, it's actually not very useful. There isn't much that tech can offer us in that domain.
Yeah, that makes... I think I would agree to that definitely to a pretty far extent. So what you're saying is, basically to summarize, in the spiritual enjoyment of the human experience, there's not much a lot of technology can really do. There's like a tipping point. But in terms of like function and practicality, like being able to call an Uber to get you stuck in traffic for 3 hours and then have Vault and have, you know, food delivery to your doorstep, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great in one realm. You know, I can't even think, like, if you wanted to do a full spiritual retreat, I mean, like last night I listened to some ambient music through the iPhone and I was playing it through the red pill. What's that called? The Beats pill. The Beats pill bot. It's just a big red Beats pill. Every time I look at that Beats pill, I'm like, that's my red pill. Yeah. And it sounds great. It's a very lightweight piece of equipment. It sounds great. I don't know. And you do chill out. You start to listen to ambient music and you're chilling out, but it's not absolutely necessary. I probably could have just had like a singing bowl or something or a little drum.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that there's a tipping point. For example, like using the technology in order to play music and media, like movies and stuff that could lead to more information that could lead you to a more spiritual, fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
You know?
Those movies would probably be telling you to not watch movies, though. Those movies,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
they were leading you towards spiritual experience, they'd probably be telling you to abandon the tech.
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, go outside and enjoy the sunset, look at the stars.
Like, how many of those have we watched that we loved? You know?
I don't think they get made, really, do they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, for example, like, I don't know, like,
Her had a little bit of that. Don't try and find love through apps and artificial intelligence. Try and find authentic love.
So because I think there's a tipping point where this type of technology is definitely necessary to create art and media that hopefully has a more introspective, deeper element, an enlightening experience. And maybe there's always just like popcorn art, you know, just candy art. That's just the fun to like enjoy for a second or two.
Yeah.
But then I think that you are right in terms of there is an eventual limit where it's like, okay, well, I can listen to any type of music at any point and watch any movie at any point. Above that, there's nothing.
No, there is a point of diminished returns. I was just trying to plumb the depths and find a couple of other movie references. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
There we go. That's good.
Ultimately says the tech can't help. You've got to do it as a human. And even Blade Runner, the director's cut, they leave. I won't it's not a spoiler, but they leave the city. They drive into the countryside in the final shot. It's very ambiguous, but they're driving into beautiful green countryside at the end of it. So there is this sort of sense of, if you're going to have spiritual fulfillment, leave the tech. Do we then conclude that the tech is anti-spiritual? Maybe it is.
Yeah. I mean, technology is definitely not spiritual by all means. I think it could be used on more specific occasions. I wouldn't even say it's like, could be the main tool at all. It's like a, what's after secondary? One of the last tertiary tool in order to delve into spiritual enlightenment or spirituality in general and stuff like that. But in general, technology definitely by itself is very, very far from spiritual. It removes you from your own internal experiences.
I actually hadn't thought about it before this conversation, but that would present what we've just said in the last 7 minutes would present an argument for saying that the use of technology makes you less spiritual.
Yeah.
Because if the rules of the game are set in a certain direction, nobody's deliberately doing that. I don't believe that's a conspiracy. I think it's just the nature of tech. Tech is, well, in Stanley Kubrick's 2001, tech is the bone that you can smash an enemy's head in. It's the stick that you can use to pull the termite out of the mound and eat it. But then it becomes satellites firing nuclear weapons from space. So tech is always other. Tech is always outside of us, and perhaps it always leads us away from who we are.
So, okay, let's go with that potential analogy, right? So you maybe use chopsticks to pick up sushi.
Yeah, that's tech. Yeah.
Right. So you want to eat the sushi, and the sushi is the best part. So you can use your hands, which obviously gets all nasty, gets all messy and stuff like that. And then, so you develop the tech in order to pick up the chopsticks, in order to pick up the food, which is in this case metaphorically it could be the spiritual aspect of humanity, which is the chopstick itself is the limit of when it is useful enough. So, for example, if you move past that, you start using a fork for sushi that you decorate.
Yeah.
That's robotic and it's taped to your fingers. Plus, it has like an option to switch into a spoon.
Yeah.
And then it also allows you to like, fucking whatever else on top of that. And that's the tipping limit where you start focusing on the tool of the spork fork more than the actual sushi in the end.
Yes. Yeah, well, and it's an interesting idea, bringing it back to sci-fi again. In Frank Herbert's Dune, you're presented with a culture thousands of years in the future that thousands of years before had this thing called the Butlerian Jihad, where they stopped all artificial intelligence. So in this realm, you could have tech, but it would cut off. You'd be like, we can have this much tech. I don't think they could have computers in that realm. They had humans called mentats who learned to be computers. They took drugs that would accelerate their minds.
What the hell?
Yeah. So they would be like a human computer because AI was completely banned because of the trouble they'd had with it thousands of years before.
I think, okay, I could see that happening where there is some sort of governmental, like, what do you call, boundary or limit of how far technology is allowed to progress. And I guess it depends on what realm you're using it in.
Do you think our governments are even close to being on top of things to the point where they'd be proactive enough to go, hey, we're not going to let the AI go too far? Like everybody seems so far behind governmentally right now, don't they? They seem like really behind the curve.
Because the problem is also, because when you talk about government interference with the development of technology, they could easily apply it to censorship, over censorship on social media.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So that's the sketchy part, because you could easily like switch it. Okay, obviously we don't want Skynet murderous robots taking over the world, but they can be like, oh, we're actually limiting what you're able to say on Instagram and Twitter because we don't want the AI to take over too.
Yes, yeah. So you have the Skynet scenario from Terminator, and you have in the canon of the Matrix, it wasn't shown in the Matrix movie, but they actually had in the Animatrix, in the manga, the anime that went with it, a big jihad. Again, it was a religious war. It was portrayed as a religious war between man and machines that men lost, that humans lost, and then ended up being just put into being used as batteries. I don't think that's how it would play out. I don't think there would be a point where machines would attack us. To me, it's a little bit more subtle than that. It's that our use of the machines, COVID, turns us, call the police, turns us into heartless, cruel people. So we're the machines who attack the other humans in the end.
Oh, that's a novel right there. Copyright that, man.
Copyright that.
This got really sci-fi really fast.
It really did.
I have a question for you and everybody in the chat right now. I actually just talked to a friend today about a situation where she literally brought up, she said, I think there's going to be a moment where you're going to have two parties, two factions, two groups and communities that really go one way and the other. The other one of them is the hippie commune, one with nature, with the animals, farming and banning all technology. And the other one, like out here in the flip ship, right behind us.
Yeah.
And do you think that's going to be a thing? And which one would you join? And I'm asking everybody in the chat as well.
Yeah, it's highly, highly likely on the current path that we're on. When I was a kid at boarding school in Somerset, through various coincidences, I actually ended up spending a week living on a commune. This is in 1992, when we have people called New Age travelers. They'd just gone off the grid, and it was a big thing in England, like for people to just live out of caravans. And there were upsides to it. We were around the campfire every night. You were eating homegrown, farm-made food, but it was dirty, man.
Yeah, man.
It's real dirty. So I don't know. I actually, of the two of us, people would probably expect me to be like, oh no, I'd definitely go with the hippies and be a farmer, but I don't know, man.
Think about that playing out for real.
For real. And for years, you just never really fully clean.
Yeah.
Like, I like showering a lot.
Right.
Somebody remarked yesterday that I made an orgasmic sound in the shower and was wondering what I was doing. And I was like, no, I just really like showering. Like when that hot water hits me, you know the noise I make when I sit down? It's like that times 10. I'm like, oh God, this is amazing.
And then after that, they said, sir, this is a McDonald's.
Every time I wash my hands in the McDonald's, like, oh God, oh Jesus, oh, I love you.
So can you take your order now? Or
do you want fries with that orgasm, you freaking weirdo? Get out.
Oh, shit. I think we've all been there. It's a very relatable situation. But, I mean, yeah, that's, I mean, obviously everyone knows my answer. We're out in cyberpunk dystopia at the moment. But, I can totally see things splitting. And honestly, the hippie commune is going to have probably I don't know if it's equal amount of problems necessarily, but it's going to have problems on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, like the first time you get a sore tooth, or it doesn't take long.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how it goes. If we're talking like a low level where you still have hot water and basic hygiene and electricity, but you just don't get full streaming internet access, cool. Sign me up. I'm ready. I'll go for that.
Yeah.
Ibiza last year wasn't that far. The internet was shit up there. And really all I had was electricity and hot water. And it was a pump. It was a self-contained pump. So the house actually got hit by lightning, but the everything still worked because everything was had its own generator. So I'd be cool with that. But anything lower than that, where you're not really hygienic and you don't really have access to paracetamol and stuff, ugh, no thank you. You can keep it.
Yeah, someone asks, why are you putting the hippie people back in the Dark Ages? Well,
they would be put there.
Yeah.
That's not. We're not saying hippies live in the Dark Ages. It's so we've skipped a little bit of this because we've already had this conversation a couple of times. So what could happen? And this is a very real thing now, is you could be presented with a situation whereby the country in which you live, which is now lockstep globally, everybody's doing the same thing around the globe, will say to you, you must have a vaccine, you must have a chip, you must have a medical passport. Do you submit yes or no? And a lot of us would say, no, you're not injecting me with some fucking weird thing that should have taken 20 years to develop and has actually taken 6 months. There's just no way we'd do that. Under those circumstances, you would start to see a split, and it would take 50 to 100 years to properly develop.
But and it also depends what you mean by Dark Ages. But if there is a party that splits off that rejects all technology, it wouldn't actually be far. If they split off and just remove themselves of any type of like first world amenities that involves any sort of technology, that I mean, how far is that from actual Dark Ages, or depending on what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, so it wouldn't be like the Dark Ages, because in the Dark Ages people literally believed in heaven and literally naively believed in hell, demons, witchcraft, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I was more considering the physical, like practical elements of it, not like the whole.
Who knows? I mean, if we went into full martial law and it was like, if you don't do this, you will have to live like gypsies do. Who knows? Who knows what level of technological access we would be granted if we were dissidents?
In my head, obviously, I'm born with a particular temperament, and it's more of a, which problem do you want to struggle with more?
Yeah.
And mine isn't necessarily picking berries and rubbing fertilizer and eating from the ground necessarily. I want mine to be ducking the surveillance cameras and like go ahead and putting illegal USB drives in where you're not supposed to, so you can get some more social credit scores, so you can take a loan to get a new flip chip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So of those two, which one would you choose?
Yeah.
You choose the dystopian, the USB cyberpunk sort of.
I'm made
option.
for this, that's something that I understand more, and obviously there's a lot of people that understand the growing and the farming thing, and they love it. And why the hell, if you're in that if with that personality type, why the hell would you choose technological dystopia? It wouldn't make any sense. Yeah. But in my opinion, I personally couldn't imagine being barefoot on grass, smelling the fresh air, petting animals.
I could.
Ew.
Farmer Grannon, that would be me.
Yeah, looking.
So maybe it's better for me.
Yeah, you probably like that a bit more.
Yeah, I'd like that more. I like nature. I like being outside.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, if you guys can't tell, I'm really on this cyberpunk trip thing, and it's only because things are really leading there from what I'm seeing. We went to a Mediterranean restaurant not too long ago, like a day or two ago. Was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
Oh fuck. Yeah, technology also warps your awareness of time as well. We were at a Mediterranean restaurant, and we were so hungry that both of us were just really disassociated. And then one of us asked, I forgot who, it was like, doesn't everything feel really weird now as of a few months ago? Like we're all just kind of like floating in this dream space. Nothing feels real.
Because we just shot in a studio for like 4 hours, and we come out of the studio, we're in darkness in a cave, basically. It's a basement studio. Then we're in the light. We go to some cute little bijou, fancy little Mediterranean restaurant, eat seafood. We're nowhere near the sea.
Yeah.
And by the way, the world is tipping off its axis. Would you like the paella? Yes, please. It's really weird. It's hard to deal with. It's fucking.
It's like everything is perpetually in a state of dissonance.
Yeah.
You're just seeing contrasting information in every corner you turn.
Yeah, I went to buy this T-shirt today in Zhizkov, and the place was empty. And I'm just cheerfully chatting to the guy, and I'm looking at this other human in his eyes. He designs the T-shirts. He makes the T-shirts. The whole branding is his. And you want me to go this way?
No, just showing the rest of the graphic.
Oh, I see. This lovely T-shirt. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, oh yeah, it's highly likely that your life's work is about to get tanked.
That's so dark.
In the next 4 months, because there's nobody in there selling clothes is it's a tough gig. It's like running restaurants. It's a tough gig. And I'm just going, thank you very much. Here's, I don't know, £15, which is going to make no difference to your financial future. It's bad, man. It's really, really bad.
Yeah. This is when the stream turns to a more darker edge. So hopefully you guys can put up with it. But so it's called Alien DNA, right? The shirt.
Alien DNA Prague. Yeah.
They were unsponsored, by the way. So, anyways,
we're just good humans.
Yeah. So when I on this topic here, I also in the Mediterranean dinner conversation, I was saying to you, whoa, it's way more surreal seeing the impact walking into restaurants, clubs, cafes, and bars and seeing no one there.
Yeah.
You can smell the desperation. You can smell the anxiety of a potential foreclosure of the place. And I'm like, because here's the thing, like, obviously economics influence all of our lives almost directly in a lot of ways, but it's really different when you see it like this. You know, it's like the pieces of paper with the numbers, the money that we give to people now all of a sudden is like, whoa.
Yeah.
There's so much more impact in this transaction to buy a T-shirt than ever before now.
Yeah. I almost wanted to apologize to him. I was like, well, I'm sorry, man. How long you been here for? Since 2003. Well, you had a good 17-year run, brother.
Was he really there for
2003? You had a good run, brother. Who knows? I mean, maybe it will not go full lockdown. It'll be porous, so some money can still get in enough that people can survive. But a lot of business ain't going to survive this winter. Fucking ton of small entrepreneurial, small to medium-sized enterprises, they're done.
Yeah. So, you know, you said that a few months ago, and obviously if you look online, people will say that as well. And it's one thing to say the economy is falling, businesses will close. That's one thing. But when you go to an actual restaurant and you see no one there, a once popular restaurant, that's different, man.
And the waiters just stood there like...
Yeah, just
oh, you're
twiddling.
The first two customers. Did I tell you about the watch thing I did a week ago?
No, what?
Fucking hell. So there's a posh area here in Prague where they sell luxury watches on one street. And there was... back when we had an economy, I was interested in luxury watches. Right now, there's no friggin' way I would buy one. And so I saw a new, it's called a Vacheron Constantin type watch, an overseas in the window. I'd just come from the gym, so I got a hoodie on and I'm sweaty, I'm nasty. I go in, there's a security guard, he lets you in. I just want to look at it. Is that cool? I'm dirty. And they go, no, come in. And I'm just going to look around, yeah? The guy follows me around. He's talking my ear off. He says, do you like this Vacheron Constantin? I said, yes, I do. How much is it? 27,000 euros. I was joking with him. I was like, that's a little much for me. He was like, it's more than I own it. Yeah, blah, blah. He said, try it on. I said, dude, I'm wet. I'm dirty. I wouldn't want to do that to your brother. Please, you're the first customer we've had in 4 days. They sat me down. They made me coffee. He told me where he was from. Like how long he lived in Prague. This is just
breaching psychological therapy, dog.
I was sat there with a 27 grand watch on my sweaty skin, and he's showing me the Vacheron Constantin, like this is the development of the design of the overseas watch. And the security guard, the woman who worked in the cashier, and this dude they're just on me because they've had nobody in there for 4 days. And I was super uncomfortable.
Dude, you were literally Spartan life coach even when you're shopping.
Right, even when I'm shopping.
Dude, you turned an entire luxury watch store into a health clinic and a psychotherapy.
This little group therapy session. But it was, where there should be wealthy customers. You know, there's people from all over the world. Like just a year ago, we went there, and I was like, "What do you think of this? What do you think of these different watches?" We had which was kind of cool, just to show somebody who's not seen them before, or was not into that, and just discuss the aesthetics of it. Dead. None of those shops, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Rolex, dead. Nobody's in there. And the staff are just stood there with a slightly pale, stunned look on their face, because they're like, okay, this is a branch of a huge, multi-million-dollar corporation, but it won't stay forever. Not all of these places are going to stay forever. Rolex has actually stopped producing watches. Yeah, they've stopped. Now, in economic, I don't want to freak people out, but in economic bumps in the road in the past, the standard wisdom was it'll never affect the ultra rich. It'll never affect the ultra wealthy. It's going to affect everybody. There's a huge transfer of wealth afoot.
And with that being said, this segues exactly into this item that I purchased today.
Are you allowed to show
this
that
is
kind
how
of
you're
shit on
supposed.
YouTube?
Is this how you're supposed to hold it, like that?
I think so. I think that's the bang end. You point this end, bang.
This is a real revolver, everybody. It's loaded. It's ready.
I'm sure you can't do this on YouTube. Oh no, they have shooting channels on YouTube,
Yeah, they have
right?
guns all over the
Oh,
place.
that's fine. That's fine then.
No, I'm just kidding. This is an airsoft gun, everybody. Okay, this is.
Pierre's got the strap.
I got the strap, bro.
He's got to carry it.
I'm a fucking cowboy. I'm actually becoming a character in the manga that I'm supposed to lead in. So, the reason why I brought that up is, first of all,
Revolution, comrades.
thing, bruh. It's literally an airsoft. Just to put that legal disclaimer out here, it's an airsoft gun. Okay, it's not a real weapon.
There's a range here in Prague, folks. Would you like to see Pierre XO fire a real 357 caliber revolver?
Well,
I would. I would.
While you guys, answer his question about my revelation to becoming the new Joker here. So the reason why I bring it up too is because
Let's go. Sure. Yes.
That's the most lit I've ever seen this chat.
Have you guys all fired a 357? The things hurt. It hurts your mind, your soul, and your hand.
It's fucking like this fucking thing's loud already. It's just a gas powered fucking pellet gun. But I was in there today, right? And I'm looking at all the airsoft guns, and I was like, because by the way, this is not a random thing. I've always thought like, man, it would be so cool to have like a fucking replica Magnum revolver.
Yeah.
You know, it would just look cool with like outfits, and it'd just be fun to like shoot and shit.
For the aesthetic.
It's for the aesthetics, man.
You have chosen the most aesthetically pleasing handgun of all time, in my humble opinion.
This is so pretty.
It's pretty, yeah. It's really pretty.
And like it fits the background and everything. And I was looking at all the guns and stuff, and I was like, hey, can I see that one there? And then he's like, okay, sure. And I'm looking at it. I tell my friend, hey, can you take a picture of this while I'm holding it? And I'm like, all right, great. And then I put my thumbs up to like buy the thing, and then he takes it, and he's like, okay, great. So he like goes in the back and whatever, and then like almost 10 minutes later, we're just waiting, and he's just kind of like back on his phone and like looking at the computer and stuff. And then my friend's like, hey, oh, by the way, like we would like to purchase that. And he's like, oh, sorry, I thought you just wanted to take a photo of it, and then you leave.
He's just assumes people just come in, take a photo, and leave.
So I didn't think about that until the situation you brought up today.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, why would you just expect the customer to just like give up all hope on a sale?
Not even push for it.
Don't even like.
You want to buy it? You sure?
Yeah, he's like, you actually want to buy it from the shop?
You know you can buy food with that money.
Yeah, right. So he was like, oh, you want to buy it? Oh, okay, sure. So I mean, yeah, I didn't realize that until this conversation. But I mean, people are just either giving up on the sales or don't even expect it anymore, or they're pushing really hard.
Yeah.
In your case, man, like, ooh. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen in a few months, man, but I mean, things are really affecting everything at ground level, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's a strange time. It's a very, very strange time. Tech has pushed us. It's not that tech is fully responsible for this, but tech is a huge part of it because our money is pure tech. Our money is not money anymore. It's just bytes. It's just pieces of data. It's just numbers on a machine somewhere. That's all money is. So the tech is, when we say tech, we have to include movies, we have to include money, we have to include the way we do education. It's in everything. It's this. And if it is, say if we said, oh, tech is bad, we're fucked. If the infection is like, you can't take tech out like from humanity now.
It's like, can you hold your breath for 5 minutes? It's so integrated.
Yeah.
It's almost as essential as maybe like eating out. Right. So people still eat out quite a bit and, go to restaurants and stuff. But there's an option to kind of remove it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's so integrated in everyday life to go to a restaurant in the same way you open a thing of iPhone or social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember looking years ago at petrol as a source of fuel and being like, when's this going to run out? When's oil going to run out? How are we using it? It's fuel. And I found out it's so integrated into our life. The car doesn't just run on fuel. The steering wheel is made of some of the, I don't know the proper technical term, sorry, but you can't make cars without oil. You can't make the parts of a car, the gear stick, without oil. So you're driving an oil vehicle that's filled up with oil in order to go to an oil constructed place. It's actually in everything. It's in everything. It's probably in the computer we're using. It's in everything. It's in everything. So yeah, tech is the same thing. It's fully integrated into the system, and removing it would be like saying let's deconstruct the system completely.
Yeah, and that's why when it comes to the incentive to completely remove something like social media or cut down is probably the most practical. But my perspective with this situation is to reject it is almost rejecting an essential part of our current experience, which is nearly impossible. It's not completely impossible. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are completely unplugged. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I mean, even to just the simplest things like getting paid for something. You ask for cash. Out here.
What are you, an animal?
Yeah. Well, I mean, out here, cash is still alive. It's number one in Prague for sure. Yeah. But like bringing out cash in the States, I remember like it's like even working in retail when somebody brings in like actual cash, it's like,
you.
I have to go to the bank now. The manager, can we drive to the Wells Fargo to pull out change?
Right.
So yeah, man. My conclusion with the thing is like, figure out a way to work with it enough, and not lose your soul, man. Yeah.
I think now with social media, if we had a budget and it was a different time we were living in, and we said we're going to set up a social media app where we're going to try and do a couple of things. One is we're going to try and recreate the wackiness of the old days of the internet where it's Wild West. Yeah. You're sharing the craziest, wildest, most creative things. And also you have a highly moderated, regulated, constructive debate based on certain sets of rules that you can't break because the system will switch you off for a week or something. I think people would go for it. I think that's
fascinating. And I like those ideas. And here's the thing, like, obviously, it's not the most, like preferred way of communicating, obviously real life, right? But imagine like VR gets so good that you can meet up with a homie that's like moved to another country at an actual virtual cafe. Dude, imagine like getting jobs in VR. Like you can actually be a virtual waitress at a virtual cafe and people will pay somebody that can communicate well. Dude, that'll be a thing.
That'll be a thing.
100%.
In our lifetimes. Some variation of what you just said is absolutely going to be a thing in our lifetimes. I saw my young nephews, 12, 13, they were playing a VR game. And in the VR game, they were working in an office. Yeah. They were like picking up pieces of paper. And they said, "Do you want to play?" And I'm like, "No, I worked in office for years. It was shit. Why aren't we killing zombies and shooting aliens? Come on." Yeah. And they're like, no, this is cool. And then I pick up the coffee and I put it out. Like, go just work in an office. It's really, it's strange. And I also thought, are they trying to train these kids?
Right.
That one day this could be something that they're going to be doing? Who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah. And I think we briefly talked about this over the Mediterranean dinner too. Like, I don't know when we had a conversation of this, but since every job is being remote now, no one wants to pay the rent for an actual office space, and they figured out they can actually make more money just by working remotely through Zoom chats. But imagine, which it will happen, you rent a virtual office space where all of your employees have VR goggles, so you can be there in the space together and still communicate and work together in that way as well.
Yeah, I could see that. And it's activated with your irises, so it can check that you're awake and alive and engaging and not secretly wanking.
Yep. Imagine that in university. Like, you know, you can't just slack off and actually just play The Sims 4 while you're watching your teacher lecture. It measures if you have a pulse in your eye.
So the challenge would be you have to be fully present in the office and making eye contact with people, but jerking off. Let's see who can come first whilst looking into their boss's eyes.
Did you just say that?
You're like, what are the numbers like for this month? We're doing okay. We're not as good as last month, but we'll get there.
The plot hole is that everyone else is doing the same thing.
Right, everybody's like, yes. Oh, the numbers are down.
Richard, what the fuck? No, if that's how you want to use VR, then I guess go for it.
First thing that came to my mind.
So, okay, came to your mind.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, but, you know, imagine, though, like, you're in a virtual cafe, and they will literally hire people to serve the virtual coffee to you, and the biggest quality in that case is being a good communicator, because they still want to have... We're not at the movie Her level yet, where these AI can simulate emotions and how to communicate. But what will be profitable in these situations is if you can actually maintain a real conversation through VR.
Yes, absolutely. And there are, I mean, I would be bluffing trying to talk about this, but based on my limited understanding, what we've heard about AI, true artificial intelligence, massively overblown. Remember in the film Social Dilemma, which you should all watch, it's good. There was a woman who said, this isn't actually AI, it's algorithms. Yeah. And then there's a debate, well, we talked about it. You bring the intelligence and the algorithm, so it's kind of AI, but it's a cyborg AI, it's not true external AI. We may never hit that point. That might not actually be possible to artificially create actual fluid, real intelligence as people would understand it. Well, unless people say that it has to pass the Turing test, in which case that's already been done. But I'm not sure the Turing test is do you know what the Turing test is?
Yes, but please say it.
So Alan Turing, the British cryptographer, came up with a test for AI, which is if you spoke to the AI over the phone, after the conversation, you would be convinced that you were speaking to another human, which I think we've already done. But I don't think that's real intelligence. I wouldn't class that personally as artificial intelligence.
It's really weird because I have the opposite experience of talking to an actual human and thinking they're a robot.
Yeah, that happens, right? You talk to somebody who's really dissociated, but they've had loads of caffeine, and you're the 60th conversation they've had that day. And you're like, is this a person? Or is this like a machine that goes, hello, what can I do for you today?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
So yeah, I do think that there will be, like if we talk in our lifetimes over the next 50, 60 years, there will still be a need for humans within the system. But our import will be diminished and reduced to like little nodes. We're just like, we need you in the machine because we can't get the machine to do what we need it to do. So you're just this tiny little node, but we do need you.
Yes. So what's interesting about that is that out of the 3.5 books that I've read my entire life, one of those books was called A Whole New Mind.
Right.
And these are the type of books that I can actually read. Like a lot of dry nonfiction shit at times that's a little more accessible. Yeah. And this one was interesting because I read it maybe like fucking 9 years ago, and everything that book predicted is kind of coming true, where certain jobs that basically that could be taken place by a robot or a computer are going to go away. So for example, accounting, they even went as far as to law, because you can search up law and then just see what's actual, like whatever, to even truck driving. That was a huge thing in one of the US candidates, Andrew Yang, I think. And a lot of things, for example, would be under. Are you doing any pee or something?
Suddenly have to pee. I'm so
Okay.
sorry, everybody.
I was like, well, you're getting really intense right now. I'm about to pull out the Ruger. You know what I mean? I was like, it's getting fucking intense.
Get back.
I was like, here, I'm just gonna chill with this for a few seconds, man. Like, god damn. Anyways, well, I guess I can continue explaining it to you guys and summarize when he comes back around. But damn, look at my shiny new toy, baby. So within this book, apparently it was talking about the fact that all of these jobs are basically going to disappear. And one of the few jobs that will be left are the ones that require some sort of creative output or maybe something that deals with communication in the meantime anyway. But you guys want to hear how loud this fucking thing is? Dude, it's not that loud, but it's louder. Check this out. CO2 comes from the other side, bruh. That shit is crazy. Western steampunk, baby. Oh shit, this shit's got a kick to it, dude. Look at this. You can take the barrel out, be that future Clint Eastwood. You know what I mean? Like that Gorilla song. Finally, someone let me out of my cage. But yeah, technology is gonna take over the world, y'all. So you either completely deny it or you integrate somehow, man. You know what I mean? So check this out. I can even do the Clint Eastwood thing. Hold on. Be like, oh fuck. Shit. You guys trust me with the weapon? Oh fuck. Come on. I was doing it earlier just fine, man. I don't know what's going on here. Ooh, yeah. Anyways, what's the name of the weapon? It's a revolver. It's a Ruger Super Hawk, bruh. Like Tony Hawk. Do a 900. I'm glitching. Let's go find a range for a date. I was trying to figure out where it would be actually appropriate to bring that out. I think if I go out in the field a little bit outside of Prague, I can put some cans of Pivo up on a bush and figure out my target practice. You know what I mean? Never played with a real gun, P. I foresee disaster. What are you talking about? I already got an AK-47 beneath my seat. Go ba-da-ba-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Surprised YouTube would allow that behavior at some point. No, I mean, there's more and more censorship incoming. I'm expecting a lot more in the meantime. How was your urination, my friend?
Oh, it was lovely. Yeah, it was great. It was most enjoyable.
Okay, so we gotta close the second half of the flip ship, bro. You're breaking you're breaking reality right now.
Oh shit! I broke the ship.
You broke the ship, bruh. Anyways, so what I was saying was in this book, it was basically saying a lot of these jobs are going to disappear. And they're going to have a lot of robots or outsourcing. So even if a robot can't take over, they're going to go to other places on the other side that's cheaper.
Okay.
So the few industries that will survive, surprisingly, will be jobs that are in the creative field or, for example, communication as well. Right. The ones that robots can't emulate.
Okay. So we're safe.
You were safe.
Oh, thank God. Fuck all you guys.
What is that? Where did this come from? Where is this savagery coming from?
Lovely Linda wrote, lovely PP.
Yes.
She loves pee.
He loves pee. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think to sort of, at the moment, there's a few things that people should be looking to do. One is to work online, and the other thing is to do something that a machine can't do. Definitely, these are the jobs of the future.
Isn't that crazy to think that you would be in a time period where we have to consider that?
It's been around for a while. I remember back in 2012, one of my cousins kept on banging on about it, saying, "Oh, it'll all be taken over by machines. It'll all be taken over by machines." And I was like, "Will it though? Will we get there?" And here we are, man. Here we are. Yeah, and that will progress. Plus, you've got to look at the number of people that are around. Eventually, the more of us there are, the less of an important resource we are. We just don't count as much. In a world where there's 1 billion people, you count 8 times more than in a world where there's 8 billion people. That's economics. That's how that's the way mathematics works. So, and there might be an awful lot of redundant humans around.
Redundant humans. Dude.
This is where I begin my new takeover. There are redundant humans in the system.
Oh my lord! Should we take some questions? In
Yes.
the meantime,
Yeah,
if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them now. The more politically charged and loaded that would allow us to cancel ourselves, feel free to not.
I mean, no.
Yeah.
Cancellation, yay. No.
Oh man, you guys, everyone, dude, you guys are gonna love the new content that we got for you guys. Oh man, there were times where I just couldn't stop fucking laughing, man.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious.
You're going to really enjoy it, I think.
Yeah.
Really, really like it. So if you could hit us with a question that's one sentence long and that ends in a question mark, that stretches us intellectually and cerebrally. Unsilent Storms is
Oh, did you get unsilent?
UG. I just wanted to credit UG Rose for pointing out before that the gun that you have is the same one as in Cowboy Bebop.
Ooh.
Yeah, well done, UG.
Do you think consciousness will raise to the same degree technology will progress?
Goddamn pessimists. We may face a point. We may come to a point where we have to consciously evolve, not in a vague new age mystical way, but where we have to actually consider upgrading our consciousness in order to keep surviving. We already have to a degree, because we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? The sheer amount of data that we're asked to cope with at the conscious level is far, far higher now than it's ever been at any other time in recorded human history. So do you consider that a consciousness upgrade?
Yeah. Would you go as far to saying that more awareness breeds more anxiety?
Oh, definitely.
There you go.
I think more choice breeds more anxiety. I'm pretty sure there will be studies that indicate more awareness. It has to breed more anxiety, because what are you aware of?
Exactly.
I mean, if it's coming through social media or mainstream media, it's all bad news. So yeah, it has to breed anxiety and probably aggression as well.
Here's a big one. Do you guys think our soul resides within the human body, or do you think souls are separated?
I'm not really sure that there is a discrete, distinct thing called a soul. I think we have to be very, very careful about that. And I'm not saying there isn't one. I'm not sure what we are. I don't think anybody really can say with certainty what we are in our essence. Perhaps we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That seems likely. But when we say spirit or soul, what is it? How are we defining that?
The way I look at it is awareness. So a lot of things that when you talk about soul and you replace it with awareness, it could still apply. So the fact that you're aware that you're watching this, you're aware that you're human, you're aware how sexy you are. And the thing is, like, my theory here is, like, awareness, it can't just only exist as a primitive ape being with feel-good body parts. That's the universe and space and everything is so incredibly expansive that if you want to go to the multiverse theory, to say that our awareness or soul or whatever can only exist as a post-monkey thing, there's no way. There's no way. Awareness has to go further than that. It's just, I don't know. I think it's a very silly idea to think that awareness can only be within our body and that's it.
Yeah, that seems to be like rank reductive materialism taken to an extreme to say that. Like that sort of reduces us to cyborgs, to computers, really,
Right.
like living flesh robots. But it's like that. I always think of the Egyptian mysticism. You know, we see the Eye of Horus now, and we think, oh, it's the Illuminati, that's bad. But the Eye of Horus wasn't bad. It was just pure awareness. It represented universal consciousness. And when you've disintegrated layers of your ego boundaries enough, and you go back and back and back, maybe through meditation or through a psychedelic experience, you do get to a point of universal consciousness. But it's not ooh, out there and weird. It's very here. It's very practical. You
Right.
just go, oh, I'm the eye that's looking out.
Yep.
You're the eye that's looking out. And everything else is kind of stuff and story and culture and dominance hierarchies and symbology and false signaling.
That's it. Very good. Have you seen anything that jumps out?
Yeah, somebody asked a good one before and I missed it.
Which?
I think it was quite high up. Go higher, Pierre. Oh, I'm getting higher and higher. Okay, a little bit more. Nearly there. Don't stop. Oh, God. Wait. Oh, Alba Rose. If humanity's last greatest gift.
Where is that?
There it is. If humanity's last greatest gift is what it means to be human, how do we avoid sacrificing that? If humanity's last greatest gift
Is what?
is what it means to be human.
Yes.
Yes.
I scrolled up.
There was another question that said, can you please spread your cheeks, Richard? You nasty.
What about the increase in AI flip dolls?
Yeah, I suppose that would be an indicator of a move towards what's broadly called transhumanism. Definitely.
I think flip dolls are the future, man. It's gonna get to a point where it won't be weird for someone to own one. It won't be normal necessarily, but it won't be strange. It's gonna be a thing.
I am still very, very attached to the flesh on this one.
Oh, really? I have 3 coming in.
What are you going to do with all 3? Oh, you take turns. You're not
Company.
gonna... Okay. You watch me.
I'm not
Melissa.
objectifying them. What the fuck, Richard?
One can watch. The other one...
No. I just want them to talk to.
Oh.
Dude, you sick.
Oh.
You think I use flip dolls to flip with?
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
No,
Forgive me for
dude.
assuming your intent with the flip doll.
How
That were gonna
dare
flip
you?
it.
These things have souls now, man.
Even in when I used to do MMA and wrestling, there would be people who would train with human-shaped dolls, and I was like, I'm not comfy with that.
That's weird though. Flipping one's different.
They would literally, the wrestlers would literally flip them. They'd pick them up and suplex them and flip them overhead, and I'd be like, I don't want to train. Do you train with it? And I don't want to train with that. It's weird. It's like human-ish. So it's like a heavy bag with 2 arms like this that are stiff, and you grab it and you pick it up and you flip it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's weird for me.
But after that first flip, you might change your mind.
I might just crash down on top of it, smell it, feel the material against my face, and be like, oh wow, I never knew I could feel this way about a wrestling doll.
Yeah, that's why I got 3 flip dolls coming in right now. You'll meet them. You'll love them.
Okay. Okay.
Do you think transhumanism or integrating into a technocratic world will be an inevitable outcome as technology progresses? That's a greatly worded question, Romeo.
Yeah, it's probably both. We are moving into a technocracy, and we are already seeing elements of transhumanism in our world as it is today, for sure.
Inevitable. It will be in everybody, and you'll like it.
Daddy. Pappy Pierre's being naughty today.
What happens to
What's in your tea?
USB drive? What happens to polarizing conversations and an increasing censorship right now? Will people faction off and rebel and prevent a single narrative moving forward? Greatly worded question too. Wow,
Yeah.
these are great.
I think so. Everything seems to swing with humans, doesn't it? It seems to go one way, and then there's oh god. If it don't hang, then he can't bang. Everything seems to be on a pendulum with humans. So we go one way, and then we go all the way the other. So if there's an excessive polarization, you may get an excessive unification, which would be the rise of a potential new totalitarianistic political party. Those twitches are already being felt in the realm of politics in the UK because we're bloody sick of this bloody polarization, we're going to have to come together. Which I'd say fine, but if this is an overcompensatory gesture for what went before historically, will the next thing be an overcompensatory gesture?
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. I mean, you pretty much said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the division thing is really worrying, but so is the other extreme.
We go too far as humans. We go too far. But that's because a lot of us are traumatized, emotionally dysregulated, and not happy in our own bodies. You got to be happy in your body.
Yeah, self-love.
Self-love, baby.
Self-love. Do you see nothing? Do you ever see? Do you see? Do you ever feel the effects of radiation we're exposed to in your electromagnetic field?
Don't think so.
I flip better.
Actually, a lot of superheroes are radiated, right?
Yeah.
Or some of them are.
Well, that's what I mean. That's my power. Well, okay. It might the radiation and the feeling it physically might not be necessarily molecular, but the psychological effect could be considered the radiation that you get from using technology to this extent.
I mean, if you include the radiation from sunlight, I definitely get an effect in my electromagnetic field. I think I experience it in my chi field from sunlight.
Photosynthesize?
Yeah, I feel I'm a sun being. I feel stronger in the sun.
Is that why you were spreading your cheeks with your butt towards the sun the other day?
Pierre, you said you wouldn't talk about that. My God. Has to go in somewhere.
There's actually an image on Instagram of this yoga teacher, and she was like, this is called like sun gape. What the hell was it? It wasn't sun gaping. It was like sun gazing. It was like butt gazing or something like that. And she was in like a downward doggy pose with like her, it was like anus sun, like something.
She was saluting the sun. She was winking at the sun.
What's it called, man?
Good morning, sun.
Yeah, man. And then it's supposed to be good for you or something.
Oh, she was doing it sincerely.
Yeah, no, she was being sincere with the fact that she was like opening her legs towards the sun to absorb the radiation.
Into her asshole?
Yes. Don't laugh.
What if she got it burned? As if she burned her bumhole.
It's actually a thing, guys.
Maybe humanity just doesn't need to be here anymore. Maybe we just shouldn't be too attached. You know? Let's just not be too attached to it.
That's why I'm having so much fun right now, man.
Yeah. Maybe we tried. We tried.
Romeo was like, she was on the ground like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Can I get a oh yeah?
Oh yeah. Put an echo there.
Nice.
Dude, and honestly, like that's kind of where I'm at.
Opening your bumhole to the sun?
Look, I'm already halfway there, bro.
You nasty.
Dude, enjoy it while it's still here, y'all. Everything doesn't make sense. It's a joke. Everything's a fucking joke, and nothing makes sense anymore.
Matt asked, Bruce Lee said, be like water, my friend. What do you think he meant? I think he meant to be, philosophically in life, he meant to be flexible and formless and to go with the flow.
So you can
be super flexible towards the sun with your I think I know the Cantonese for bumhole. Sifat long. You can point your Sifat long to the sun. Bruce would appreciate that. And in combat, if you're like water, you adapt to whatever the enemy offers you.
Yeah. So basically, adapt. Adapt enough to your surroundings in order to better yourself. It's not necessarily conform to everything, but there's a way to maneuver and learn from your environment to harmonize with it. In martial arts, that comes from actual combat, but in actual life, you could apply that same thing.
Yeah.
So if the sun's around, open your legs.
Maria says, troll yourself on social media. It's the most amazing feeling. Can your moral boundaries be like water, though? Well, the question I would ask is, should they be? People's moral boundaries are like water in this time in which we live. We can see they go into a different emotional state, they go into a different persona, and their moral boundaries shift depending on how they feel. They can have one set of moral boundaries in the morning and a completely different one at night.
Again, remember, extremes are not the answer. So if you want to put a metaphor, it's like a dam containing water or a pool of water that has walls. For water cannot exist if it does not have a container to be in. What do you think Lao Tzu meant when he said, "He who knows does not speak"?
There is, like, if you meditate for long enough, you start to drop into stillness and silence, and you'll have moments where you think, God, I really wish I could share what this is with people, but you can't. So whatever you say would be a not saying. So the truth that cannot be spoken is the only real true truth. Everything that we say is dogma, and it dies as soon as it enters the fresh air. So there was a quote by a great jazz musician who said, if you want me to explain what jazz is to you, you'll never get it. You just have to feel it. You have to feel it subjectively. It's almost like that all-seeing eye we were talking about before. It perceives it, and you can't chop that up and relate it and make it consumable to people. You just have to do it.
Wow, that was way more metaphysical than I expected. That's a great answer, man.
Damn.
So, yeah, the way I look at it, there's like two ways. So one is like exactly what you said. For example, he who dances does not need to talk about it. He who dances just knows and just moves with it, right? And I think, but also on the other hand, the more literal sense, what's unfortunate is that people that do know do not speak in the loudest megaphone society that we've ever lived in. Where now it's like everybody yells so loud that if you actually know the truth, you'll get drowned out. So it's almost better for these types of people to actually say something. But then who's actually true? And then that's a whole other fucking thing.
Yeah. It's I get that because ego creeps in and dogma creeps in with ego every time. So when I was like meditating and I was like, oh, I should teach people this for their CPTSD, and I was like, how would you put this into words? And I was like, oh, I could say something that sounds a bit clever, which is silence should be the dogma. Silence should be the ideology. Silence should be the thing that leads you, which sounds kind of clever, like maybe like sophistry, but actually there's something really profound there. If you let yourself sink into stillness and silence, you start unifying in a way that if I say more words, it'll be lost. It'll just, you know, you can't put it into words. It sounds dumb.
Yeah, the thing is, I think that quote has been true and it will be true for a while, but in this period in time, it's worse to actually not say too much at times. We live in a time where everybody's forced to we're in a very verbal time period, basically, and it almost does more of a disservice for certain types of people not to say anything. You know,
that's an interesting observation, that we're in a very verbal time period. That's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a problem. There's a lot of words out there. That's an issue.
So unless these people just say less, or the people that actually know what the hell they're saying say more.
Or when you speak from meditation. Meditate first, go into stillness, go into silence, and then be very, very sure of what you want to say and refine it in the way that the Japanese swordsmith refines the katana. It takes 1,000 blows. So really, really let it refine first.
And then,
yeah.
You just had a thought.
Just before I came here, I was speaking to the editor of the book. I wrote an 80,000 word book. I put my heart and soul into it, and I'm scrapping it and starting again. Which, if I'd come 15 minutes before the podcast, I was going to discuss with you, but I was late. And she's kind of sad and unhappy about it, but I'm really happy about it because this is the book. And if it wasn't for the 80,000 rambling, driveling, self-indulgent, masturbatory thing that I put forward, there wouldn't be a good book. And she's like, well, aren't you worried about writing the new book? And I was like, no, this one's going to write itself.
Yeah.
This, because I did the preparation work. But in this day and age, everything is like fast, get it out, just do it. No, let's be craftsmen. Let's be craftswomen again. Let's think. Let's take our time. Let's refine the skill. Like we're refining the skill of doing the podcasts. It grows and develops, but you can't fast track it. It's layer on layer, like the folding of the katana, and it takes time.
For example, if someone throws a disc in the air and a marksman hits it first try, you didn't see the 9,000 other shots that he took to learn how to do that in 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Fuck, there was something.
No, I cut you off.
Yeah, but that was good. I'm glad you said that. But
In the Book of Five Rings, what I did to Pierre was called Holding Down a Pillow. It's from the Book of Fire. And what the recommendation was to cut your opponent with the spirit that you're cutting them right before they cut you. So you draw your blade and cut a fraction of a second. And I cut through his thought, and now it's dead. It's gone forever.
Cut me again, motherfucker. I dare you.
You brought a katana to a gunfight.
You ain't gonna slice me. You ain't gonna slice me.
Now you gonna die, son.
gonna die.
Do you know more about mysticism, Kabbalah, occultism side of things? I do.
You know more than I do, which I look like the type of person that would be really into it, but I don't know that much. You know a lot about it.
I'm into it, man. I might do a video on my channel about Freud and Kabbalah.
Whoa.
Yeah, and Jung and Kabbalah. There are rabbis and Talmudic scholars who've written books accusing Freud of ripping off the Kabbalah to formulate psychoanalytic theory. So when you'll hear me talk a lot of psychoanalytic theory, it's extremely mystical. It's extremely occult in its essence and its structure. And yeah, so I do know about it. I don't talk about it like tarot cards, Kabbalah, magic too much because I have people following me who are very emotionally dysregulated and they'd love anything that would allow them to escape. Anything that would mean that they don't have to face their difficult emotions. So I keep my material deliberately dry.
We've had a conversation about this over giant juicy cheeseburgers. This stuff, this mysticism, metaphysical talk is so slippery.
Yeah.
It's literally a tightrope walk. If you misunderstand 1 to 3 things, it can make you literally crazy.
Yep.
It will literally send you into a thought pattern that makes you psychotic.
Jung went crazy. Jung was crazy for 4 or 5 years of his life. He was talking to ghosts. He was talking to himself. He lost his mind.
Right.
He went completely psychotic. It's very hard. It's a very hard discipline, which is why we have the archetype of the asshole kung fu master, of the asshole mystical teacher. Why are they so strict? Why are they such assholes? Because they have to mold you into the strictest of disciplines so that if you do summon your guardian angel and have a chat with them and you're like, I literally did this, I expect you don't run all over Instagram telling all your stupid soppy friends about it and trying to fucking selfie with your guardian angel.
I never thought about that, but yes, those martial arts experts, the answers are so strict and rude and direct, but they're so grounded. And I never thought about that. But these types of people have come in touch with the metaphysical elements.
Yeah.
But the point of what they say, it comes from a place of sheer groundedness.
Yeah.
Like the most, like, you know, like you're unfocused. Here's a fucking bamboo cane to the throat.
And they're not even arseholes, really. They're only arseholes to us. Yeah. They only perceptually seem like arseholes to us because we're spoiled and greedy. And they're like, no, I'm not just going to give you what you want. You prove to me that you want this. So they test. They test you. They make you clean the temple steps. They make you do hard meditations. They want to see if you have the moral fiber to hold it.
If you dive into metaphysics, mysticism, occultism, and you have no grounding practices, you will lose touch with what reality really is, and it will do your life the worst types of detriment.
I think, please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I'm almost certain now if you are born an Orthodox Jew and you want to study the Kabbalah, you must be married, you must have children, and you cannot be under the age of 40. They won't give it to you unless you're a middle-aged man. Because it drove people completely mad. This kind of the systematic interaction with pure chaos
Yeah.
is the essence of psychosis. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the chance of you surviving that, you might be like, no, I can take it. I've had a hard life. I've done psycho. It's
No.
it's really tough.
Our minds are made of glass, and
They shatter easily.
the metaphysics and occultism is a giant fucking baseball. And okay, so the way I look at it is like, you know, if you absorb impact with something enough, it doesn't hurt. So imagine like a baseball is hurling towards you and you have a pane of glass and you have to counteract the momentum by pulling back just enough to soften the blow, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
These are the metaphors that you'd be given when studying Tai Chi. So you go to study Tai Chi and you're like, how long will this take me to learn? And they'll be like, Tai Chi, 5 lifetimes. And you go, that's a funny answer. Like, it's 5 lifetimes. So you have to cultivate the intention in Tai Chi. If you're doing true Tai Chi, to reincarnate with the intent to continue your practice of Tai Chi. Now, okay, this may be beautiful Chinese poetry. It may be beautiful Chinese metaphor. But unless you can really integrate that level of thinking, no, I'm going to be slaving. You're a slave to Tai Chi. You're a slave to martial arts. You're a slave to mastery, and it's miserable for not years, not decades, but lifetimes. You don't have that intent? But don't bother.
This is a really interesting topic. To bring a more practical image of why these things are really fucking dangerous and why it can drive you crazy. The most practical example, for example, you start getting into it, right? You start looking at symbols and how they relate to things, right? Then you start looking at your dreams and you start analyzing through these symbols of your dreams. Then you start beginning to think that it's real. So you start looking at these symbols in real life. And then you see a bird flying and that's a sign. And then this sign is actually representative of this past experience. Then you look at the color of the road, and the reason why the color of the road is because of the plane. And then you think that these people in your life are actually sent here by angels and they're perhaps just, guardians for this thing. And then you get to this thing and then eventually you distance all of your family. You do this. You don't even give a fuck about your job anymore. All these things, you go actually crazy. You might have to be medicated, or the worst comes to worst, people get really violent and dangerous. So that's how these things are really dangerous. When you interact with something that is invisible, all of this stuff is conceptual. You're thinking about things that aren't even actually there, other than the images that you can maintain in your head. It's not like you feel this, so there's nothing concrete.
Yeah.
That's chaos. That's just abstraction. And if you fall into abstraction that much, you will become abstract and you'll lose your shit.
There's 3 points I'd like to follow up with really, really quickly on what you've just said. So first of all, what you're talking about is the framework for schizophrenia and ideas of reference and ideas of persecution. So that mystical experience is structured like madness. It's a structure of madness. Secondly, if anybody's really interested in this, get Magic Without Tears by Aleister Crowley. Not a nice man, not a responsible man, not a good human being, but he did know, he did understand, and he had real experience with this stuff. And actually, Magic Without Tears is mainly him warning a young woman who wants to learn about magic not to do it. It's a series of letters between him and her, and it's a great book. It's a great book where he explains to her, look, if you keep asking me questions from this level of consciousness, I will never show you anything, because the teaching to you of this will destroy you. Which is what a con artist would say. It's like, no, stay away from, and makes them want it more. But he meant it sincerely. The third point, real quick, the structure of what Pierre just said is the structure of psychoanalysis. This is what dream analysis is, and this is what free association is. You look at chaos and you draw meaning from chaos. That's what psychoanalytic theory does. It's an occult practice in the sense of occult being hidden. You go into the hidden and you draw meaning. You know what else people used to do to draw meaning? They would read birds' guts. They would sacrifice a dove and read its guts. They would do scrying. They would look into a pool of water and say, oh, I spoke to the god Pan and he said this. They would read smoke. They'd read tea leaves. It's all in the same, and I'm not saying it's all madness. There's really something there. You can have a real communication with an authentic, intelligent force, but should you, is the question. And I don't do it. It's not a part of my life. It's not a part of my life because it started to drive me crazy. So in my late 20s, I just stopped, gave it up.
Yep. And I think maybe you and I had around the same type of thing at the same age.
Yeah, the Saturn Return, 27, 28.
Saturn Return, and I dealt with all of this stuff. I really started looking into the occult and symbology and stuff like that. Lost my mind for a long period of time, and then I purposely omitted all of it, left all of it, grounded myself, and it took collectively like 3 or 4 years, man. It takes a long time to ground yourself from that world. It's not friendly, you know.
It's not friendly. There's Damien Eccles is on YouTube at the moment, and he also genuinely knows what he's talking about. If you're interested in it, you can have a look. There are structures to get there. There are structures to get in result. If you want to learn a functional, structural way of interacting with Kabbalistic principles, learn tarot. Read tarot cards for people, and eventually, if you read tarot cards for long enough, you will start having psychic insight with people. It's guaranteed if you do it for long enough. But what does that mean? Is it good? Is it good that you have authentic clairvoyant? I don't know that it's good. I think it's better. Me personally, like it's not. I don't equate that with joy and happiness and a balanced life. I think the temptation of narcissism and the ego to I have special powers is so great.
It can trick you to think that you're special.
Yeah, right. So maybe all of that with the hard master and the pushing people back is basically simply said, we want to stop you from falling into your own ego.
Sit down, be humble.
Sit down, be humble. Thank you, Mr. Lamar.
Right.
Girl asked me yesterday if I'd heard that song. I was furious. I was like, how old do you think I am?
I was going to say, you heard of this, put out A$AP Ferg's new album? Got on with fucking Marilyn Manson, dude? It's just crazy as hell. But yeah, I think in the end, the grounding element is one of the most missing key principles when it comes to anything that has to deal with this stuff. And that should be the main thing, and that's actually a key component of a lot of religious practices and martial arts.
Yeah, in their essence, when they're pure, they're grounding. They keep you humble. They keep you connected with the earth. They keep you connected with the collective. They're like, you're not special. You still got to put your socks on. You still got to pay your phone bills. Don't be a dick. And it's a way of sort of weeding out the narcissists and the psychopaths, much in the way that the Navy SEALs Hell Week is designed to do. It's a hard crucible. And in a crucible, in the alchemic process, shit rises. It separates. And you go, there's the shit. We can now get that out. But the crucible burns, man. It's a hot flame that burns a crucible.
Master the third dimension before you move anything past that, dog. I was like, I know the world, the metaphysics, symbology, the pure essence of consciousness and whatever powers, and I'm broke as fuck folding jeans, dude.
Right.
That's grounding.
Yeah.
My master was the universe with the bamboo stick of retail. Bitch, fold it better.
You ain't know that bitch.
Yeah, right? Why are you thinking about fucking angels? Like, fold the jeans right. Get your commission. Get your commission in life.
Yeah.
Do that first.
Yeah.
And then when you can afford to be spiritual, spirituality actually takes money, surprisingly. Unless you really want to leave everything.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
Nobody watching this is going to do that.
Yeah, of course not.
Let's be realistic here.
Fucking hell. The universe is knocking my headphones off and shit. But yeah, I mean, like, master the third dimension. That's what I have to say. Do that first before you even begin thinking abstractly about stuff.
If your life's not in order, any little bit of grit in who you are, so if you're a vessel and you're going to hold magic, mysticism, the occult, any crack, any grit, any dirt will be amplified and it will destroy you. So who of us is pure, really? Who of us wants to be burned inside of a crucible of meditation and fasting until all the dirt is purified? Jesus. You're just looking for fast tracks, really.
Right.
So, at that point, I would just say...
Make your money.
Make money, live a good life, sort yourself. Make your damn bed first.
Make your room. Or clean your room.
Carry your damn burden.
Speaking of grounding principles, dance is one of them. And do you have to go to dance at 7:40?
Yeah, I do. It's at 8. So
Okay,
I have to go and ground in my physical body by doing beginner bachata.
And I'm going to unground myself by playing a video game online with y'all. I'm probably going to start with Detroit Become Human, get it warmed up, and then you can come another day, and then we can see how that turns out. So thanks, everybody, for joining A Tentacle Croissant. Later this week, you should see the full high production value version of what we have been doing for every week for almost a year now. So it's been a pleasure, everybody. And I will see you guys another time. Actually, I'll see you guys in about 20 minutes on my extra channel. So you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for your attention. We value it highly, and we're very grateful that you could spend this time with us. And we look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Yeah, it's Squidward.